So, Spinner learnt ninjutsu by reading a book, and that's how the turtles know ninjutsu. From a book. Okay, so that's a clear indication, I think, of how good this movie's going to be. Hey YouTube, Rob back again, as you can see, with another video. Today I'm doing a sort of movie review, my thoughts on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reboot, remake, produced by Michael Bay. So let's get started on my thoughts of this movie. Okay, first of all, there was this big thing about the turtles being aliens, and there was a big backlash on that, and and Michael Bay came out and said, relax, we're going in a new direction, and just chill out, and we'll watch the movie, wait till the movie comes out and watch it. It's this new direction, and it's going to be good. Well, I don't know, paraphrasing there probably slightly, but that's what he was kind of saying, or from what I understood anyway. It was kind of this new direction, and it might be different, but just wait and see it. So yeah, I watched this movie, and there's none of this new direction or fresh take on on the Turtles franchise. It's pretty much just a remake of the first movie, I thought. So I don't know what happened there. I mean, I understand that there was a huge backlash on this, Ninja Aliens thing, and so I guess they changed it, I guess, to please the fans, I guess. But I don't. You shouldn't need to. If you're making a movie and it's your fucking movie, you should be able to, within reason, do what you want. I mean, you shouldn't listen to the fans and change it, just because of that. I mean, I didn't want to see this aliens thing either, so I guess in some ways I'm probably glad that they took that out, but they still could have went along with this supposedly new vision that producer Michael Bay had. But I don't know, that's my first criticism, I guess, or my first thought. Second thought, I should say that I'm a huge fan of the original movie. I think that's probably one of the best movies I've ever seen in my entire life, and I'm sticking to that statement, even though some people seem to just disagree with that and say that the 90s movie was not that great. I think Chris Stuckman said that that it's not a great movie, and its own nostalgia, and that's the only reason people think it's a good movie. Which no offense, Mr. Stuckman, but I think you're an idiot for saying that. I'm sure he doesn't watch my videos, so I can say that. But no, I mean, I don't know, I guess you're entitled to your opinion, but I still think the original movie's an absolute fantastic movie. I think it's got great pacing to it, great characters. It's a good story. It's got some good sort of scenes to it, some nice sort of camera work, and it's I think it's like an hour and a half movie, so it's fairly short, I suppose, tight, compacted, well-paced movie, in my opinion. I think it's a great movie, and I've watched it many times and love it to this day. But anyway, I'm not talking about the first movie. We're talking about this new Michael Bay produced 2014 reboot, remake movie, what do you want to call it. So I mean, I went into this movie, I had a feeling, I can admit that I didn't think it was necessarily going to be that great of a movie, and I wasn't surprised that it wasn't that great of a movie. But I was still, as I was sort of saying before, I was sort of going into this with open eyes and looking at this, supposedly, well, I thought was going to be a new direction or something. But I think maybe I got the impression maybe they must have done lots of rewrites of this movie, because it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, I understand that. I mean, all good movies have to be, the first draft is never good enough. You've got to do a few drafts of the movie and nail it down to something that's decent. You know what I mean? But this just feels like they've just rushed through it and got 4 or 5 good ideas and just sort of tried to shoehorn it all together, which I don't know, to me just didn't really seem to work. Anyway, so we'll start with the characters, I guess. Well, I might start with April, I guess, just be a bit different compared to starting with the Turtles. Megan Fox as April O'Neil. I actually thought she did a pretty good job. I thought, really, a lot of people you know, hate on Megan Fox. She reckons she's a bad actor, and you know, the only reason she's in acting is because she's supposedly good looking. Whatever you want to say. But I thought she did a pretty good job for, you know, what she was given. I mean, I thought her character was a bit, in some ways, a bit underdeveloped, even though she's the sort of character that we sort of follow the most in the movie, which a lot of people criticised again. We didn't see a lot, you know, too much of the Turtles. It's more of a April O'Neil story. We sort of followed her for most of the movie. But her character, I thought, was just had some terrible dialogue she had to sort of come out with, and some of the scenes that she was, you know, I think she had to sort of do in some of the scenes were just really stupid and idiotic. And you know, people say that Megan Fox was really stupid in the movie, but I think it's more the character she had to play was really stupid. Some of the stuff she had to sort of, you know, come out with, you know, and do. It's just really just silly and not really believable by any means. So I think she actually did a pretty good job. And also, considering she had to, also decided to do, in some ways, I had to sort of, you know, she was working with CGI, you know, rats and CGI turtles, which aren't necessarily there. She has to sort of, you know, worked with an empty space, which I suppose is not quite technically true, I suppose, because she would have had to have had someone there in the, you know, the turtle suit or the, you know, CGI suit or whatever to work off, I guess. But she still was, in some ways, you know, working with nothing. Which brings to the point about Splinter and her. There's a scene with her. This is a bit. I'll talk about Splinter later, but this is, you know, one thing I want to say. It's basically this scene where Splinter and April O'Neil are sort of face to face. I mean, I thought that was really badly done too, because they were really close together, and you could sort of tell that she was, you know, talking to nothing, sort of thing. It was this sort of this CGI Splinter's head. It needed to be sort of further apart, but that's just one thing I noticed. But yeah, I thought she was alright though, as April O'Neil. I didn't have a problem with her. The Turtles themselves I thought were okay, I suppose. I wasn't still a huge fan of the way they looked. I thought they were a bit funny looking. But you do sort of get used to that once you know, further on in the movie, you sort of get used to the way they look. And I wasn't sort of a fan of necessarily the voice acting of it, of them. I think basically I'm just sort of used to perhaps the original movie and originally how they sounded. It just didn't really quite fit. Especially Splinter's voice didn't really seem to resonate with me compared to the old voice of the movie. I thought some of the Turtles themselves were also really sort of underdeveloped too. I mean, there was Leonardo's supposed to be the leader, voiced by Johnny Knoxville, but he wasn't the leader though. He was sort of really sort of further down the chain. I thought he didn't have much dialogue to say. He didn't sort of say much. He didn't sort of do a hell of a lot. And he's supposed to be the leader, and I thought he would have been perhaps the one that was going to do most of the talking, sort of thing. So that was a bit disappointing, I thought. Raphael, I thought, was all right. He was, you know, Raphael's sort of a bit of a loner compared to the rest of the Turtles, and you know, is a bit sort of different, I guess, to the other three. And it did sort of show some of his characteristics, I thought, in the movie, but not enough to sort of. You need to sort of be a fan of the Turtles to sort of understand his character, I think, and his personality wasn't necessarily shown through in this movie. I didn't think. It's sort of, he has this sort of big speech at the end, which is sort of, if you don't necessarily know his character very well, then that speech just sort of comes out of nowhere. I thought. Donatello, I thought, was a little bit strange looking with his glasses and the whole sort of nerdy thing going on, which I thought was, I don't know, perhaps a bit too far. I think they went with that too, a bit too far stretched, I think, with his character, the whole you know, nerdy thing. Michelangelo was most fun, I suppose, and perhaps a bit creepy, I thought too. The way he was sort of talking to April was a bit strange, I thought. But anyway, Splinter, I thought, was really ugly looking. I didn't like the way he looked at all, and he looked a bit funny looking, I thought, especially with the sort of the beard thing. I thought that was a bit. I think they should have got rid of that. But he was alright. I think he had a bit of a sort of a Yoda thing going on, especially in the sort of fight between him and Shredder. He sort of, Splinter's really, you know, really small and Shredder's huge. So there's a bit of sort of a Yoda fight there with this, you know, tiny Yoda going up against these other Jedis, you know, type thing. Vern, April's cameraman, I thought he was alright. A lot of people criticise him for being a bit shallow and a bit sexist and a bit of a sleaze or whatever, but I thought he was alright. He was a bit underdeveloped, I thought. Could have had a bit more of his character, I thought. But I thought he did a pretty good job, though, the actor that, you know, sort of played him. Storyline-wise, I thought was really average, I thought. Again, it was some ways pretty much a remake of the first movie. A lot of sort of scenes were sort of recreated, and I thought, I guess, I don't know, being a big fan of the original movie, I was thinking, well, they did that better in the original movie. They did that better in the original movie, and that's all I can sort of think about pretty much the duration of the movie. I just thought, well, they did that a lot better in the first movie, which I suppose is probably not the best thing to be doing when you watching a new remake. I don't know, but that's all I can sort of think of anyway. But yeah, the story just overall, which I thought was just really rushed, and some didn't make a whole lot of sense in some sort of aspects. And I thought some of the action scenes were pretty good. Obviously, the ice sort of going down the mountain scene, that was snow scene. I thought that was actually pretty well done. But I watched it in 3D, so that was even better, I guess. Apart from the shaky cam, which is a bit sort of, I think, horrible to watch in 3D because it's sort of this sort of this 3D shaky cam. It gives you a bit of a headache, I think. But luckily there wasn't sort of too much of that, which was good. I mean, I did sort of enjoy the turtles sort of fighting together, and the whole sort of brother aspect and being as a team. That was probably the best bits I thought of the movie. But other than that, I didn't really care for the movie at all, really. And just some of the origin story, as I was sort of saying, with Splinter learning ninjutsu from a book, which is just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, okay, case in point, the first movie, he learns martial arts by watching his master Yoshi through his cage, just sort of mimicking his movements, which I suppose is a bit far-fetched too. But I think that's probably a bit more believable than Splinter reading martial arts from a book and teaching the turtles from that. I mean, that's no. This is a bit more perhaps to that. Maybe there was a line where Splinter says he can't remember much before finding the ooze or whatever. So maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a bit more of a backstory there. Maybe originally did sort of come from Japan and did know martial arts or something. I don't know, whatever. Some people have sort of brought that up, that maybe might have been a bit missed out in terms of the backstory. It wasn't explained properly in the movie. I don't know. I didn't sort of hate it. I mean, there's a lot of other movies I've sort of watched this year which I really haven't liked that much, and I didn't necessarily hate this movie. I just thought it was, some people, if you're perhaps not a fan of Turtles and you go and see it, if you're like a 8-year-old kid and you go and see this movie, I guess it's a fun movie and you would enjoy it. But I just, I don't know, just as sort of a fan of the Turtles and a fan of the original movie, which I just thought, which I have sort of said, I think's a really well made, well, on low budget, well made movie, I guess. And it's sort of come to this where it's just sort of a mess of different things, and it doesn't sort of, the pacing's off and it just doesn't quite work. It's, I don't know, to me, which I just thought was a letdown. I mean, I wasn't trying to go into it sort of hoping for a remake of the first movie, or perhaps even a better movie than the first one, but it was just, there wasn't enough of this